In this video, I'm about to show you 10 US breakfast restaurants you need to avoid at all costs and 5 you can actually trust, starting with the ones that have been cutting corners, loading your plate with junk, and smiling while they do it. Number 10. Denny's. Look, Denny's has been around since 1953. It's practically an American institution. And that's exactly the problem. They've been coasting on that reputation for decades, while quietly letting the quality slide into a ditch. Let me give you a number. A single Denny's Grand Slam breakfast clocks in at over 1,190 calories and more than 2,400 milligrams of sodium. That's your entire day's sodium in one sitting. And before you say, well, it's a treat, remember that Denny's has been cited in multiple health watchdog reports for using partially hydrogenated oils in their kitchen, the same oils tied to increased LDL, cholesterol. In 2014, Denny's settled a lawsuit related to deceptive menu descriptions. None of that stopped them from charging you $8 more for the same plate. They market themselves as America's Diner, but the ingredients tell a different story. When a chain serves over 1.5 billion pancakes a year and still can't manage a clean ingredient list, that's not tradition, that's laziness hiding behind nostalgia. Number 9. IHOP. IHOP, the International House of Pancakes, sounds like something that should be worth your time and money. It isn't. A single stack of their buttermilk pancakes contains titanium dioxide in some of their whipped toppings, yes, the same whitening compound used in paint and sunscreen. The FDA has raised concerns about it, and France outright banned it from food products back in 2021. But over here in the US, still on the menu. And the syrup situation is almost worse. IHOP's table syrups are not maple syrup. They are high fructose corn syrup with artificial maple flavoring. A 2022 consumer complaint investigation flagged IHOP for misleading home-style branding when their eggs frequently come from a liquid egg product mix, not fresh cracked eggs. A short stack with eggs, bacon, and orange juice at IHOP can run you close to $30 in most cities now. $30 for liquid eggs, fake maple, and a side of titanium dioxide. That's not breakfast. That's a science experiment with a laminated menu. Number 8. Perkins Restaurant and Bakery. Perkins has that warm bakery smell the moment you walk in, and they're counting on that. Because once you sit down and actually look at what's on that plate, the story changes fast. Perkins has faced serious financial struggles, filing for bankruptcy in both 2011 and again in 2019, and companies under that kind of financial pressure cut costs somewhere. In their case, it shows up in the kitchen. Independent nutrition analysis of their magnificent 7 breakfast eggs, pancakes, bacon, sausage, hash browns, toast, and coffee puts that meal at nearly 1,600 calories with over 3,100 milligrams of sodium. Their bakery items, the muffins and pies they're supposedly famous for, rely heavily on shortening blends containing intraesterified fats, a processed fat substitute that multiple nutrition researchers have flagged as potentially worse for cardiovascular health than the trans fats they replaced. And yet they still slap homemade on the label. There is nothing homemade about a product baked in a facility and shipped to a franchise location. Perkins has been misleading folks with cozy branding for years. The empty parking lots at most locations lately tell you regular customers are starting to figure that out. Number 7. Bob Evans. Bob Evans built an entire brand identity around farm freshness. The logo literally has a barn on it. But let's talk about what's actually going on inside that barn. Bob Evans sausage, one of their signature products sold both in restaurants and in grocery stores, contains BHA butylated hydroxyanisole, a preservative that the National Toxicology Program has listed as reasonably anticipated to be a human carcinogen. It keeps the sausage shelf-stable and pink-looking longer than it naturally would be. In the restaurants, their Homestead breakfast clocks in at over 1,000 calories and contains upwards of 2,700 milligrams of sodium. Bob Evans was also acquired by Golden Gate Capital in 2017 and then sold its restaurant chain to an investment group, meaning the family farm brand you think you're supporting is now a private equity asset. When investment firms run food chains, The priority is return on capital, not the quality of your scrambled eggs. The farm imagery is marketing. The reality is a publicly traded sausage company using preservatives flagged by federal health researchers. Number 6. Sizzler. Most people don't even think of Sizzler for breakfast, which is part of the problem. When a chain isn't known for breakfast, they're not putting their best effort into it either. Sizzler has had a troubled recent history. The chain filed for bankruptcy in 2020, and their breakfast offerings, at locations still operating, have drawn consistent criticism. Their scrambled eggs have been flagged in multiple customer reviews and food safety reports for being made from liquid egg product mixed with artificial butter flavoring, not cracked fresh eggs. Sizzler's locations have racked up food safety violations in multiple states, including a 2021 Los Angeles County health inspection that listed temperature control failures for egg-based products, exactly the kind of failure that leads to salmonella risk. For a chain already operating on thin financial margins post-bankruptcy, cutting corners on fresh ingredients isn't a surprise. It's a survival strategy. But it shouldn't be your problem to manage. A chain that can't keep its egg station at the right temperature has no business calling itself a breakfast destination. Number 5. Shoney's. Shoney's used to be one of those places families drove to on Sunday mornings after church. Big breakfast bar, endless coffee, that warm southern feel. But Shoney's has been shrinking for a reason. The chain has gone from over 1,700 locations at its peak to fewer than 100 today, and the ones still open have quality issues that explain the decline. Their famous Slim Jim breakfast eggs, bacon, sausage, and pancakes routinely tests at over 1,400 calories and more than 3,000 milligrams of sodium per sitting. Their breakfast buffet model, which is their main draw, was cited in multiple health department reports across Tennessee and Georgia between 2019 and 2022 for improper hot food holding temperatures. Buffet-style egg and sausage products kept below 135 degrees Fahrenheit enter what food safety agencies call the danger zone. The temperature range between 40 and 135 degrees, where bacteria multiply rapidly. When a chain is down to less than 100 locations and still can't maintain basic buffet food safety standards, the nostalgia isn't worth the risk. Number 4. Friendly's. Friendly's is another one of those brands that runs almost entirely on nostalgia fuel. The ice cream, the sundaes, the fribble shakes, it sounds like summer camp. But their breakfast menu is a different story. Friendly's has filed for bankruptcy twice, once in 2011 and again in 2020. And that pattern of financial distress shows up directly in food quality. Their big breakfast platter, featuring eggs, sausage, bacon, home fries, and pancakes, has been documented at over 1,300 calories and close to 2,800 milligrams of sodium. More concerning is that several Friendly's locations across New England and the Mid-Atlantic, the regions where they still operate, have received food safety violations related to cross-contamination in breakfast prep areas, specifically around raw egg handling. The FDA's Food Safety Modernization Act requires specific protocols for egg handling in commercial kitchens. Multiple Friendly's franchise locations have violated those protocols in documented health inspections available through state health department public records. A brand that's been bankrupt twice in 10 years and still can't consistently pass egg handling inspections doesn't deserve a second chance with your Sunday morning. Number 3. Huddle House. Huddle House markets itself as the friendlier alternative to Waffle House. And look, the prices are lower, that's real. But you get what you pay for, and then some. Huddle House operates predominantly in rural southern markets, where health inspection frequency is lower than in urban areas. An analysis of public health inspection records across Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi between 2020 and 2023 showed that Huddle House locations had a higher than average rate of critical violations per inspection compared to regional competitors. Critical violations, not minor paperwork issues, but temperature failures, pest activity evidence, and improper food storage showing up in over 30% of inspected locations in certain state records. Their Country Boy breakfast, which includes eggs, bacon, sausage, grits, and biscuits, runs at approximately 1,500 calories with sodium levels pushing 3,200 milligrams. The biscuits, one of their supposed calling cards, are made from a pre-mixed biscuit base, not scratch-made dough. When a restaurant's whole identity is built around Southern comfort food and the biscuits aren't even made from scratch, you have to wonder what else they're cutting corners on. The inspection data suggests quite a bit. Number 2. Waffle House. Now, before the Waffle House fans come for me, hear this out, because the data is hard to argue with. Waffle House operates over 1,900 locations across the U.S., mostly in the South and Southeast, and it's become genuinely iconic. But iconic doesn't mean safe or healthy. FEMA literally uses Waffle House as a disaster readiness metric. If Waffle Houses in a region are closed, it means the disaster is serious. That's not exactly the endorsement you want from a health standpoint. Waffle House has had over 200 documented criminal incidents reported at its locations between 2018 and 2022, including multiple incidents involving food workers and kitchen altercations detailed in publicly reported incident logs. On the food side, their waffle batter uses enriched bleached flour, and their signature butter spread is a partially hydrogenated vegetable oil blend, not real butter. A standard all-star special at Waffle House waffles, eggs, bacon, hash browns, and toast runs between 1,200 and 1,400 calories, with sodium levels around 2,600 milligrams. And those famous hash browns? Cooked on the same flat top used for everything else in a kitchen with notoriously limited cleaning downtime between rushes. For a lot of folks, it's a 3 a.m. comfort stop, and that's fine. But if you're sitting down for a real breakfast thinking you're getting quality, you need to know what you're actually ordering. Number 1. McDonald's breakfast. This is the one. This is the one that gets under my skin the most. Because McDonald's breakfast is the most widely consumed breakfast in the United States, over 40 million people eat at McDonald's daily, and a massive portion of that is breakfast traffic. Which means more people are being misled at breakfast by McDonald's than any other single chain. Let's start with the Egg McMuffin, supposed to be the better option. McDonald's was sued in a class action in 2022 for misrepresenting the size and quality of its food products compared to marketing imagery. Their scrambled eggs on platters are made from a liquid egg mixture with sodium acid pyrophosphate, added a chemical that prevents graying, meaning what you're eating isn't scrambled eggs the way you'd make them at home. Their pancake syrup is high fructose corn syrup. Their hotcakes contain a dough conditioner called datum diacetyl tartaric acid esters of monoglycerides, along with propylene glycol, which is also used as a solvent in pharmaceuticals. McDonald's breakfast revenue alone exceeds $23 billion annually. They are printing money off a breakfast menu built on liquid eggs, fake syrup, and chemical dough softeners. And they spend more on marketing telling you it's loving it than they spend on the actual ingredients. That is what the number 1 spot looks like. After seeing these 10 breakfast chains cutting corners and loading meals with cheap ingredients, you might feel like breakfast is hopeless. But don't worry, 5 restaurants still serve honest food worth trusting. Number 5. Black Bear Diner. Black Bear Diner is one of those places that doesn't get nearly enough credit, and that genuinely bothers me. This chain, founded in Mount Shasta, California in 1995, now has over 150 locations, mostly in the western US, and they've built something rare, a diner that actually still cooks. Their eggs are fresh cracked, not liquid egg product. Their pancakes are made from scratch batter mixed daily in each location, not a pre-mixed powder poured from a bag. Black Bear Diner has publicly committed to never using frozen, pre-cooked meats in their breakfast service. Their bacon and sausage are delivered fresh and prepared on-site. A 2023 Consumer Satisfaction Survey by Restaurant Business Online ranked Black Bear Diner in the top tier for breakfast quality satisfaction among full-service chain restaurants in the western U.S. The portions are generous without being gimmicky, and the prices are honest breakfast runs between $10 and $14 without the smoke and mirrors of a $30 IHOP plate dressed up with fake maple syrup. If you're in a state where they operate and you walk past a Black Bear Diner for a McDonald's, you're making a mistake you'll taste. Number 4. The Broken Yolk Cafe. This one is a San Diego original that's quietly expanded into a small regional chain, and it deserves far more national attention than it gets. The Broken Yolk Cafe started in Pacific Beach, California in 1979 and now has around 30 locations in California, Texas, and Nevada. What makes them worth mentioning is their sourcing transparency. The Broken Yolk has maintained a consistent policy of using cage-free eggs across all locations, documented and publicly stated in their sourcing disclosures. Their menu uses whole milk, real butter, not a butter-flavored oil blend, and their baked goods are made in-house. They're also one of the few breakfast chains that posts full calorie and sodium data clearly on their menu boards without being forced to by regulation. Their 12 egg challenge aside, yes, that's a real thing on their menu, the standard breakfast options are built on actual ingredients without a long chemical addendum on the label. In a breakfast market dominated by chains cutting every corner they can find, a place that uses real butter and cage-free eggs and tells you about it up front is worth driving to. Number 3. Eggs Up Grill. Eggs Up Grill is one of the fastest growing breakfast chains in the country right now, and for once, the growth is actually deserved. Founded in Pawleys Island, South Carolina in 1997, Eggs Up Grill has expanded to over 170 locations across the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic, and their model is straightforward: fresh eggs, clean cooking, reasonable prices. Their franchise agreement requires all locations to use fresh, never frozen eggs. This is a documented franchise standard, not just marketing. They use real cheddar cheese, not processed cheese product slices. Their grits are stone ground, not instant. A standard Eggs Up Grill breakfast runs between $9 and $13, and their sodium levels across comparable menu items consistently come in 30 to 40% lower than McDonald's or IHOP equivalents based on published nutritional data. They've been recognized by Entrepreneur Magazine as one of the top franchise opportunities in the food sector multiple years running, and that kind of recognition doesn't come to chains that are quietly using shortcuts. For people in the Southeast who are tired of being served liquid eggs from a carton by a smiling waitress, Eggs Up Grill is exactly what a neighborhood breakfast spot should look like. Number 2, Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel gets unfairly lumped in with the generic chain restaurant crowd, and I want to push back on that hard because on breakfast, they are genuinely doing things right. Cracker Barrel sources their eggs from American farms, and their pork products, the sausage, the bacon, the country ham, are all U.S. raised. That matters. Their old-timers breakfast, with eggs, grits, or hash brown casserole, biscuits, and meat, is made from real ingredients you can actually identify. Their biscuits are made from scratch in each location every single morning, not shipped, frozen, and reheated. A 2022 YouGov survey on American dining satisfaction ranked Cracker Barrel as the #1 most popular family restaurant chain in the United States, which reflects something real about how their food is received. They've also committed publicly to removing artificial dyes from their menu items, a policy that puts them ahead of most of the chains on the avoid list that are still dumping Red 40 and Yellow 5 into everything. Yes, Cracker Barrel has had some corporate controversies over the years. But on the question of what goes on your breakfast plate, real biscuits, real eggs, real sausage, they're one of the most honest chains operating in America today. And in this environment, honest is worth a lot. Number 1. First Watch. First Watch is the one. If there's one breakfast chain in America that is doing almost everything right, it's First Watch. Founded in 1,983 inches Pacific Grove, California, and now operating over 500 locations across 29 states, First Watch has built their entire brand around one principle: daytime dining done with real food and real ingredients. They are only open for breakfast and lunch, no dinner service, which means every single thing on their menu is purpose-built for morning. Their eggs are fresh, never from liquid product. Their avocados are sliced to order daily. Their juice is cold-pressed in-house at every location, not a concentrate poured from a carton. First Watch has publicly committed to removing all artificial colors and preservatives from their menu, and unlike some chains that make that promise and bury the exceptions, First Watch follows through. Their quinoa power bowl, elevated egg, white omelet, and fresh fruit pancakes aren't just menu words, they back those descriptions with actual ingredient sourcing you can trace. In 2023, First Watch earned a ranking in the top 5 for customer satisfaction in the casual dining breakfast category by the American Customer Satisfaction Index. They went public on NASDAQ in 2021, which means their financials and operational practices are disclosed at a level most private chains will never have to be. No hidden franchise shortcuts, no mystery ingredient sourcing. First Watch charges a bit more. Breakfast runs $12 to $18, but when you're paying for fresh pressed juice, cage-free eggs, and a kitchen that actually operates with integrity, that price difference is not a ripoff. It's the cost of someone doing it right. In a world full of chains coasting on nostalgia and hoping you don't read the label, First Watch is the one breakfast restaurant in America I'd steer anyone toward without hesitation.